Imagine waking up to find oil prices have doubled overnight. Global trade routes are disrupted, and warships from the US, Iran, and Gulf states are facing off in one of the world's most volatile regions. All of this because of one narrow waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. This isn't fiction. Iran has threatened to close it before, and rising tensions mean it could happen again. But what exactly would that mean for the world? Let's break it down in plain English. What is the Strait of Hormuz? The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow passage between Iran and Oman, only about 21 miles across at its narrowest point. That's less than a 30-minute drive in most cities. But it's also one of the most important places on Earth. Why, you ask? Because it's a critical gateway for oil. Think of the Persian Gulf like a bathtub full of oil. The Strait of Hormuz is the drain. Every barrel of oil from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the UAE has to flow through this tiny outlet to reach the rest of the world. If that drain is closed, the pressure builds fast. Every single day, roughly 20 million barrels of crude oil pass through this narrow waterway. That's nearly 20% of the world's entire seaborne oil trade. 2 out of every 10 barrels moving by sea come through here. Now here's where it gets interesting. 1 barrel of crude oil holds about 42 gallons. That's enough to fill 2 large bathtubs. Multiply that by 20 million barrels at an average of $80 per barrel. That's a jaw-dropping $1.6 billion worth of oil flowing through Hormuz every single day. This isn't just important, it's the most critical artery in the global energy system. And it's bigger than any other oil choke point on Earth, bigger than the Panama Canal, bigger than the Suez, even bigger than the Malacca Strait. Still not feeling the scale? Try this on for size. All that daily oil flow would fill over 400 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And it's not just crude oil. Massive tankers also carry liquefied natural gas fuel that heats homes in Europe, powers factories in Asia, and keeps economies moving. This is why governments panic when Hormuz is even mentioned in a threat. June 2025. Once again, the world's eyes locked on the Strait of Hormuz. Iran was under pressure. New U.S. sanctions hammered its banks, petrochemical industries, even the military. Europe joined in, too, accusing Tehran of breaching the nuclear deal. At home, soaring inflation. Unemployment climbing, public anger rising. Then came the move that shook the markets. Tehran hinted at closing the Strait of Hormuz. Remember that narrow waterway moves 1 in every 5 barrels of oil shipped across the globe. Block it, and you don't just disrupt tankers, you disrupt the world economy. Reuters sounded the alarm. U.S. intelligence spotted Iran loading naval mines. The Iranian parliament? They passed a symbolic motion urging closure. But this wasn't just empty talk. The IRGC mobilized. Fast attack boats spread across the Gulf. Missile systems repositioned. Drones hovered over shipping lanes. State media didn't hide it. They amplified it. One senior lawmaker made it crystal clear. Closing the Strait of Hormuz is on the table if Iran's core interests are threatened. The reaction? Immediate. Oil prices spiked nearly 8% in one day. Insurance premiums on tankers shot up. The U.S. Navy increased patrols. Saudi Arabia and the UAE raised naval alert. The strait stayed open, but the message was loud. Iran can rattle global oil markets without firing a shot. Call it a warning, a pressure tactic, or a bluff with teeth. Either way, the world got the message. Loud and clear. For weeks, the world braced for chaos. Headlines screaming, Iran may shut down the Strait of Hormuz, military drills in the Gulf, threats from Tehran. And then, nothing. No mines in the water, no ships seized, no missiles fired. Hormuz stayed open. Oil tankers still gliding through the Gulf. Commercial shipping, business as usual. So, what happened? Markets that had freaked out calmed down. Oil prices? They spiked nearly 8%, then dropped just as fast. Why? Because Iran didn't pull the trigger. It flexed, but didn't strike. A warning, not a war. Goldman Sachs even put a number on it. Just a 4% chance of real supply disruption. Translation? Traders weren't buying the threat. Insurance companies noticed too. Risk premiums? Slashed. War surcharges? Gone. Shipping costs? Back to normal. Even the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet confirmed it. Traffic's flowing. No disruptions. Iran's message was loud, but silent. A show of strength with the safety on. It was bluff with teeth. A reminder to the world. We could close Hormuz, but not today. No explosions. No blockades. Just the oil, still flowing. Crisis averted. At least for now. Let's say Iran actually closed the Strait of Hormuz. Gasoline prices? Through the roof. Flights? More expensive. Global shipping? Delayed. Food prices? Spiking. This isn't just a Middle East issue. Hormuz is the oil artery of the planet. When oil gets more expensive, transportation costs rise. Manufacturing slows down. Heating bills jump. Even stock markets feel the shock waves. And remember, it's not just crude. Liquefied natural gas, two fuels that keep lights on from Tokyo to Berlin. A closure for just a few days could shake the global economy. And the world wouldn't wait. Expect a rapid military response, led by U.S. Navy fleets, joined by Gulf states, and backed by NATO firepower. Because one narrow waterway could ripple into a global crisis. Right now, the Strait of Hormuz looks calm, but don't let that fool you. This isn't peace. It's a pause, a reset. For decades, this narrow stretch of water has been one of the world's most dangerous choke points. Why? One missile? And prices shoot up overnight. But here's what's changed. Not just the weapons, but the battlefield itself. Forget just warships and fighter jets. Now, it's drones, aerial swarms, underwater bots. AI-powered surveillance tracks every ship in real time. And cyber warfare? It's already here. Radar spoofed, ports jammed, GPS signals hijacked. Iran's mastered the art of gray zone tactics, seizing ships, mining lanes, using proxies, never fully crossing the line. The US? It's guarding the lanes without starting another endless war. China's playing quiet but smart. No battleships, just business and influence. And India watching closely. Fuel security, diplomatic power. It won't sit still for long. Why this matters to you? That tanker stuck in Hormuz today could mean higher gas prices at your local station next week. A single standoff here can delay shipments in Europe or Asia. And one bad call, boom, 5 nations in a crisis they never wanted. This isn't just oil anymore. It's a new era of conflict. Quiet, digital, calculated. A war of bandwidths, bytes, and perception, not bullets. So yeah, the Strait might be calm now, but it's a very eye of the storm kind of calm. We've just spent the last few minutes staring at a map most people never look at. A place that seems silent, but echoes with tension. Where oil tankers drift by calm on the surface, volatile beneath. This is the Strait of Hormuz. Out here, every ripple matters. Every silence is loaded. Every routine is anything but routine. This story, it's not just about Iran or oil or warships. It's about patterns, the kind the world builds and the kind it breaks. We rely on them, trade, stability, diplomacy, until they shift. And when they shift, everything follows. Because here's the truth. The biggest changes don't always explode onto the screen. Sometimes they just simmer. Like a warning that doesn't shout. Like a current you don't see but feel. Out here between sea and sky, there's a message. Balance doesn't make noise. stability doesn't trend. And sometimes, what doesn't happen is the most important thing of all. Maybe that's the real takeaway. Not action, but awareness. Not prediction, but observation. Sometimes the smartest move is to stay still, to pay attention, to read the silence. So yes, for now, the strait remains open. The tankers move. The world exhales.